I can't believe I'm saying this. 605 days ago, I stopped playing Destiny. I even made a whole video about why playing Final Fantasy XIV made me finally give up all of the hope I had for it. And yet, here I am, having played 32 hours in the last 2 weeks. I won't lie and say I wasn't tempted to hop in because of all of the recent Final Shape streams. It's really hard to watch all of that buttery smooth Destiny gameplay and not find yourself wanting to experience it again, even with all of the game's problems. I'm not particularly excited for the new prismatic stuff, though combining multiple exotics does seem like it'll be pretty fun. Heck, I'm not even particularly excited for the new enemy faction. Being the nerd I am, however, I'm super excited to see how they update Xur, what removing legendary shards will mean for buying from vendors, and this whole shader system update they're talking about, since fashion is the real endgame. After an internal struggle for a week or so, I decided, heck, why not just give it a shot? So I loaded in and played for a day, and one day turned to two into three. You know how the rest goes. I've played Destiny every day since April 4th, and after just over a year and a half off, I think Destiny might be back. Let's talk about why. So for one, I do think that this is one of the best ways to experience Destiny if you can battle against all of the built-in FOMO of completely ignoring 3 out of 4 season passes. Waiting until I have all of the Lightfall, Season of Defiance, Deep, Witch, and Wish all at once really makes it feel like there's a ton of excellent content to do without all of the hurry up and wait for the next week treadmill shenanigans that can happen a lot. And I know a lot of people have been complaining about those piecemeal updates, but the thing about taking a long break is you come back to a whole host of things that have been improved. When I left, there was no build system. Pretty much every single season, I had to choose a single build that I was going to work towards, and that was it. I was locked in. I never had the endless glimmer that everyone else had to reset their artifact constantly, and on top of that, I wasn't really grinding Master or Legend Lost Sectors to get new exotic drops, because a lot of the times my builds focused on fun, not necessarily being good at endgame activities. This alone has already been such a game changer to have. I have one build that I use for everything casual, and then a super optimized one for everything difficult like Nightfalls. And once you combine this with that whole new Fireteam Finder thing, for a predominantly solo player like me, who doesn't have friends who play the game, it honestly changes everything. Last week I did my first ever Master Nightfall through Fireteam Finder, and I carried hard. It was amazing. With my new build, it wasn't even particularly difficult, up until the final boss from my teammates kept going down. And honestly, that's long been one of my biggest problems with Destiny. As a solo player, there's just so much that I would never ever get to do. Even dungeons, nightfalls, and basically all non-match-made activities, and that's not even considering raids. I've only done 5 or so of those, and those that I have done were all through the Destiny LFG Discord group. Which is fine, but it's outside the game and does require some coordination with complete strangers, and it's just stressful. It's stressful. As someone who has had issues with FOMO in the past, in combination with being a completionist who is turned off when I know there's a huge quantity of content I'll never actually be able to do, both of these changes have been a huge blessing. For once, I feel like I will be able to run every dungeon and every raid in the game at some point. I can finally grind higher difficulty Nightfalls. All of this makes it feel like a really good jumping on point. There are just over 50 days to log in, complete Lightfall, all 4 seasons, Ribbon's Wishes, and Into the Light. That's honestly so much content to do in under 2 months. With the hope of all of this being that Final Shape is a proper return to form, And then after that, we get to experience this all new episode system instead of seasons. These sound like exactly the type of change we needed, with standalone stories and more frequent story beats. Each episode is split into 3 acts, each about 6 weeks apart, that come with new quests and rewards. Bungie has said that the first act has more content with a lot of new stuff to do and chase. The second and third acts will expand with more activities, story, and rewards, apparently. This also changes the season pass system. Each episode will have a new exotic and exotic mission, alongside the usual new legendary weapons and artifact perks. There will be 200 ranks, however, with 100 launching at the beginning of each episode, with the next 2 acts adding 50 more, each, for a total of 200. In addition, there will be 25 artifact perks at the start, with 5 more being added with each act for a total of 35. One of the things we'll need to see is how Bungie handles the Destiny content vault, as I feel like that's the biggest way for them to mess things up right now. But hopefully they've learned from their mistakes. I really do hope that they don't need to vault any more content. But I'm still not done talking about the smaller improvements that have been made. Again, I've had a big issue with FOMO before that led to a ton of burnout, particularly around the time weapon crafting was introduced. These were meant to be an alternative to god roll chasing, but I very much love the idea of ranking up my weapon. It just feels so much better. So I burned myself out grinding for weapon patterns each week, trying to get them all before the activity disappeared forever. And as Bungie added more and more, I simply couldn't keep up, and it was demoralizing, to say the least. But as part of a recent update, Destiny introduced the Exotic Mission Rotator, which features various exotic missions from the past. To make them worth running outside of forgetting the exotic itself, Bungie has opted to add armor and weapons from previous seasons into the loot pool. For example, Operation Seraph's Shield has Revision 0, but also the craftable Icolos weapons in the Warmind armor set. Vox Obscura, meanwhile, has all of the Season of the Haunted weapons and armor. And these missions are farmable, with the first weapon drop each week guaranteed to be a deep state version of the weapon that you don't already have a pattern for. The simple fact that Destiny is resurfacing old weapons and armor is a huge way to help people like me with FOMO. And then last week they also came out with the news that every weapon is going to be unsunset, which is great if you have all of your original weapons. But they'll also be reissuing most, if not all of them, with origin traits and updated perk pools so that everything will finally be back. And let me tell you, I can't wait for Steel Feather Repeater to be back in my rotation. The thing that really helps me feel like I can finally play Destiny the way I want to play is the change to power levels, though. Soon the entire thing will be account-wide, with a little effort, sure, but being able to hop on my Titan and Hunter and finally be able to quickly get into actual activities that I want, get the armor and transmogs that I want, that's amazing. No more having to grind up the individual power levels, just do it once and then everything will start dropping at a higher level. That's not to say that everything is perfect. I really do enjoy making my Guardian look good, but the transmog system as it exists really sucks, with the whole being limited to 10 unlocks per season. That's only 2 full sets, and considering how many sets come out and the huge backlog of stuff before transmog, you'll never even come close to unlocking everything you want unless you pay real money. And though I've talked about those weapon pattern improvements, I'm so glad they're back. They're still a long way from perfect. Someone did the math for Operation Seraph's Shield recently, where there are a total of 50 patterns to obtain if you want to have everything crafted. With only a maximum of 3 guaranteed drops per week across the different difficulties, if you did only those, it would take 16 weeks to get them all. But take into account the current 3-week rotation of missions, assuming Bungie doesn't add any more, which they will, and it takes nearly a year to get them all. But as a whole, I'm really happy where Destiny 2 is right now. My real biggest concern is all of the rumors around Destiny 3, though. while deep down I agree that Bungie starting over with Destiny 3 would be a good thing, giving them a chance to make sure content vaulting is never necessary again, and giving everyone a fresh start, leaving all of the issues behind, it would 100% kill my motivation to play Destiny 2 itself right now, when the game is finally starting to feel like it's hitting its stride. I don't really have anywhere to go with this short of the fact that I'm playing it again, and probably will be until sometime after the final shape launches. You should probably expect to see some more coverage of it on the channel in the future. In the meantime, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment for this video's question. Has Bungie at all tempted you to get back into Destiny? Do you think it's back, or is this all just the same cycle repeating itself? If you want to support the channel, there's a Patreon linked in the description below as always. But just watching this is support enough. For now though, I think that's it. I'll see you next time.